All right, 2 months of NASCAR off season, 2 hours of a podcast to cover it. I'm the Iceberg. This is the NASCAR Weekly Podcast.
Green flag, green flag. I'll roll him. He's flipping me out. Ah! Yeah, boys, how about that? They pushed it in the wall. He threw it off the track. Baby, that's how you do it. Get that second flag, son. Yeah, baby, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. It's wonderful to be back. Welcome, everybody, again to the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. I'm here once again with DannyBTalks, Black Flags Matter, and Estepp. And I think we should just jump right into it. What do you think? Everyone else sound good with that?
To it, guys. Come on.
We're back. We're back, guys.
All right.
Yes,
Let me get this camera off of me because I think you want to see the rest of these beautiful faces. So, we got a lot to talk about. As you can see in the bottom corner, we got the logo and the hashtag. Use that hashtag tonight if you want to tweet about it, and I guarantee you I'll like it, even if it's bad about me. So I say, what do you want? What should we talk about first? Should we just get the bad out of the way first, and then get to all the good stuff? Because I'd say it's been a pretty good off season.
Yeah, for the most part, actually, it's been probably the most craziest offseason in NASCAR history. You got people moving left and right and stuff. You got teams shutting down out of nowhere. It's insane.
Let's talk about something else that shut down for a brief little bit before we get into all the good positive stuff. Jayski is no more.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, Jayski was on there. Was on for 22 years, and now it's like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird not having Jayski now. It's like, where am I going to get my info from? Well, from the internet, other than the internet, I guess. But yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, I also want to shout out the couple super chats I saw right there before we get into it. But wow, Kick and Wing Customs and Reverend Rasheem Stewart. Thanks for the support, y'all. Jayski's been around a long time. Great, source of, easy to use source of news and all that type of stuff. Sad to see them go. It's part of the changing media landscape around NASCAR with ESPN kind of moving away completely from racing, specifically NASCAR. But yeah, it's unfortunate when you see someone who's been around a while, been a part of a lot of people's NASCAR fandomness go away like that. So, yeah, somber news.
I remember about this when I was younger, about this time of year every year would always be the time just to be getting on Jayski and be like, okay, what paint schemes do we have for this series, for this series, for this series? And it's just like, can't do that no more.
Yeah, but I don't know. The one thing like that's like sort of unfair and all, like people are just blaming ESPN and stuff. It's like, oh, I'm done watching ESPN and all that stuff. I mean, from their perspective, it's just like a business decision. So, I mean, you can't really blame them for that,
And really quick, I do want to just, again, those super chats, Kick and Wing Customs, NASCAR Weekly Podcast rules. Thank you. We all agree. And then Reverend Rasheem Stewart, which driver would you like to interview and why? Dale Jr., all-time hero. You see all this. I mean, if we're talking about all-time, maybe Dale Earnhardt. That'd be pretty cool because it's Dale Earnhardt. There's not really much more you can say that it would say anything more. But yeah, I'm upset with the Jayski stuff. I wish they would be able to stay, and I know everyone's blaming ESPN, but I mean, ESPN's been going this way for a while. I don't think we should really be too surprised about it, and I don't think it's a reason to start sending anything. I know some people have sent some stuff to people that work at ESPN still, like Marty Smith. It's like no reason to send hate to them. But that's probably the most negative thing that's happened this offseason, which I have to say, even though it's something that's part of probably all of our childhoods, and it's sad, if a website going down is the most negative thing to come out of an offseason, I'd say it's been a pretty good offseason.
I'll throw the Ross Chastain DC Solar news is kind of sad. I mean, he's still got a ride in the Cup Series and everything, so it's not the end of the world for him, I guess. But that was... I would put it neck and neck as far as like, biggest blow to my like morale. But yeah, you're right. This offseason had more good news than bad news, I think, or a lot of, at the very least, a lot of interesting news, a lot of entertaining news to follow, which I know we're going to get into. Basically, we're going to get into as much of it as we possibly can tonight.
Yeah, sorry guys. Really quick, sorry guys. I had to back out and stuff. I don't know. It was like weird on your guys' end and stuff, but all right, I'm all good.
Well,
I will say this: that some of the, I think my saddest news from the offseason was sadly losing Glenwood and Mr. Gibbs too.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Thoughts and prayers and everything go out to all their families as well. But I want to backtrack really quick to the DC Solar deal, because that was, how do I put it? That was probably one of the most unique stories I think we've heard of in a long time. Like, even though it was negative, and even though we don't like how Ross Chastain kind of got, curb stomped with luck there, um, it was a really interesting story for the most part, because I think the first thing I heard about it was the FBI raided DC Solar, and I'm like, oh, okay, what the hell did they do?
So, I knew it. Like, I just knew, like, something in my heart told me that Chastain was gonna get screwed. I was like, no, this isn't good. Like, please don't let it be true. And then bam, the team shuts down, and it's just sad. Like, yeah, he has a Cup Series ride, but it's like, it's not really all that much of a good one. So I don't know. Hopefully he can find something better pretty soon.
It sucks because it's like that's one of the more negative things to like NASCAR these days. It's not as profitable as it once was. A lot of teams are sometimes, especially smaller teams, Xfinity and truck teams, are struggling for money. And to see a team like that shut down, not because they didn't have money, like they were being promised tons of money from a sponsor that was really interested in advertising within the sport. So like, it was nothing that Chip Ganassi Racing, as far as I can tell, did wrong. Nothing that NASCAR did wrong. It was literally just all on DC Solar's end, and really sucky that NASCAR and Chip Ganassi and Ross Chastain got caught up in the middle of it. So it's a shame that a team had to close down, not because, poor performance, not because the business side of NASCAR is messed up, but literally just because of something that was completely out of their control.
They're cursed, man. That team is cursed. That's why I don't like anything with that team at all. Like, just because of their like history and stuff. I mean, you can go all the way back to when Chip Ganassi bought the team and stuff. Unfortunately, you had the passing of Kenny Irwin Jr. and then his replacement could have been either Jimmy Johnson or Kevin Harvick. Those are the guys they were considering, but unfortunately they didn't give him the ride because they thought they were, like, quote unquote, weren't ready. And then you have Sterling Marlin almost winning the title in 2002. Then he breaks his cracks a vertebrae and stuff, and he's done for the season. And then you have Montoya hitting the jet dryer, and then just like bad seasons after bad seasons. And now you're giving Chastain a chance and stuff. He's proven himself after all these years, and then the team shuts down. It's like, come on, man.
Well,
like, just have something good.
I'm with Darian on this one. It just seems like Ganassi, they always just have like small glimpse of hope where you start to have faith. Like 2010, it looked like McMurray was starting to do something really good with them. And then what happened after that? Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to point out, we all thought this was a Larson hat. It actually is Eric wearing a Chastain hat in solidarity.
Oh.
Honestly, I wish, but if I turn, it has Larson's name on the back. I can't hide it. Can't hide it. Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, let's okay, we got the bad out of the way. I'd say 10 minutes of bad in a NASCAR theme thing for 2 hours is pretty good.
That's good. Yeah.
So I'd say let's go to another story. Let's stick in the Xfinity series really quick. The 8 is coming back to the Earnhardt name. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and JR Motorsports now have the 8 car under their stable. I think Ryan Truex is one of the drivers, and I can't remember the other ones off the top of my head, but there's Zane Smith, and there's also an open date though for Darlington. So
I wonder who's going to drive that. Well, first of all, shout out to Teresa Earnhardt, by the way. You can't sue, so
No, I was thinking, I'm like, if Junior does a throwback, I mean, Junior has enough money to pay a lawsuit. No. So
use all the money from the diecast to pay it off, and from the diecast sales and stuff.
Yeah.
We'll start a GoFundMe stream. But what do you guys think about that?
The drivers who will be driving this year are Jed Burton, Spencer Gallagher, Ryan Preece, Zane Smith, and am I missing someone?
Did you say Burton? or did you say Ryan Truex?
Ryan Truex, yeah, sorry, that was the fifth guy I was missing. I was like, wait, I'm forgetting someone. So
and they're all splitting time in that 8 car. Do we also want to talk about the changes, the other changes on that team? They brought in Noah Gragson to drive 9. The 1 is now going to be Michael Annett. The 7 is still going to be Allgaier. Junior Motorsports is going to be an interesting team next year.
Hey, I gotta say this though, Eric, you're disrespecting Gragson all the time. Like, you better stop it right now. Keep disrespecting.
I just don't think he's going to win the championship this
year.
You're
disrespecting him. You're disrespecting the man.
Christopher Bell is still in the Xfinity Series and has a year of experience.
No, I was playing. But
I don't know. Okay, I'll stop there.
But yeah, there's a lot of holy crap. We got a $24 super chat, by the way, Jared. Shout him out really quick.
24 for Jeff Gordon.
Well, thank you, A24 Rocks. I'm gonna disagree with you there, but thank you so much for the super chat.
What incarnation just had $25 spent to trash him? Can you believe that?
Carnation, you're making it places, buddy.
By the way, guys, we have 195 watching and only, well, I can't see the likes right now, but make 69. Sure to lick the like button. Only 69 likes.
Lick the like button.
Just make sure to lick the like button. But yeah, a lot of changes going on at Junior Motorsports and stuff. You have 5 different drivers. Well, technically 6 driving the 8 this year. Including Zane Smith, who I'm really high on. Michael Annett is changing his number from the 5 to the 1, and he's still not going to make the playoffs.
That is crazy, though. That when say if there's a casual fan comes into NASCAR, they don't know who to root for. They're like, who's number 1? I'll root for him. Michael Annett. Okay, that's my guy.
And then Noah Gragson taking over the 9 and stuff. Well, the 1 team is basically the 9 team now. And then Justin Allgaier is staying the same, and he should. He won 5 races and stuff. Don't change his number and stuff. What's the saying? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So yeah, a lot of changes and stuff going on. Gragson, I honestly see making the Final 4 and stuff, and some of the prospects over at Junior Motorsports in the 8 are pretty cool. Zane Smith, I like I said, I'm really high on. Spencer Gallagher, I thought he was retiring, but I guess he's only retiring from full-time competition. And again, up until his whole drug bust, he had an average finish of like 10.8, I believe, and he had just won Talladega and stuff. So like I was really high on him. So I can't wait to see what he can do in top equipment. And then Ryan Preece and Jed Burton and Truex, yeah, I can't wait to see what they can do.
I think it's interesting how they've kind of like, at least from what I saw, the schedule that they released for those 5 drivers is each driver is kind of going to have a specific type of track that they race at. So Gallagher's going to do all their restrictor plate races. I saw Jeb Burton's going to do most of the 1.5 miles. Zane Smith's going to do most of the short tracks. I think it's interesting that Junior and all the people, they're kind of divided up that way so that Zane Smith, who's coming from the ARCA series where they run like more than half their schedule are short tracks, I think that's going to help him be more successful in the 8, or I think he's 8 races he's running this year. I think that's going to help him be successful. He might win a race this year. I wouldn't be surprised. So I'm excited for that. I know you guys are Junior fans. So what do you guys like? You kind of glossed over it, but I feel like a lot of Junior fans are really excited of the idea of him driving the 8 car for a race next year.
I'll take this one.
Go ahead.
I'm excited about it. I am. I would lie if I say I wasn't, especially since, I mean, the last time that Junior was in the 8 car, I think I was 10. So I get a lot of nostalgia, I guess. If a 21-year-old can get nostalgia, but I'm excited about it. I don't think this is like the end-all be-all thing. I don't think this is the greatest story we're gonna have all year, but it's something really cool. And it's really cool to have the 8 back with an Earnhardt just because of the history with the number. I mean, you look all the way back to Ralph Earnhardt, and then Dale Sr. drove the 8, owned the 8, I think with DEI in the Busch series as his first car. I might be wrong in that one, but it was one of his first ones, I know. Junior with the 8, and so on. So I'm happy about it, but at the same time, it's not the end of the world, or if you're upset about it, it's not the greatest thing that's going to happen. But it's a good story, and I think the diecast sales are going to be through the roof.
I would be more excited if like he did a throwback to like himself in the 8, but I can't even talk, but he can't do that for obvious reasons and stuff like that. Don't want to get sued and all that. So, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy about it and stuff. I'm glad the 8 is back with Junior, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. And like right after the Richmond race that he ran in last year. He put something out on Twitter where it was essentially looking like concept art for a throwback 8 Hellman's car. And it's like at that point, it should have been obvious that there was going to be an 8 car in some way. If I'm not mistaken, I think there might be like 6 races that don't have a driver for them yet. I'm not sure exactly which 6 those are. I know Darlington is most likely one of those. Now I'm curious, like, could we see Dale Jr. in more than one race this year? Could we see some of the Hendrick Cup guys like Jimmy, Byron, Chase, or someone like that show up for one race? I don't know. We'll see. It would be pretty interesting to see something like that too.
That's a good point, because I think there are like 1 or 2 of the road courses that weren't announced yet. So could there be another driver? I don't know. I mean, you guys are following Junior probably closer than I do. I don't know that he's the kind of guy that's going to go run multiple races this year. He sounds like a one and done kind of guy. I also thought it was interesting. Junior talked about the way this came about, how he asked BJ McLeod Racing had rights to the number 8 car after last season, and Junior went to them asking if they could have the number just for the throwback race. NASCAR wouldn't allow that, so BJ McLeod and all them were nice enough, I guess, to just let them have the number for the whole season. So I think that was kind of cool how that came about, and it was a nice shout out to one of the smaller teams.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I think going into this season, how they have so many different drivers, so many young drivers going into that car, I can't help but feel like this is very similar to the 60 car last year, which, by the way, is not a thing anymore. Roush Fenway Racing is not even existing in that series anymore. We'll get it back into that in a minute.
R.I.P.
But it almost feels like this is a good tryout year to see, which one of these drivers can perform the best, and also maybe who can bring in the funding too, and just see who's going to be the next, full-time driver.
Yeah.
The only negative with that was that when I found out, I was working and I had all of the program information in for the LVMS program this year for the March race, and I was like, I have to change it again? Like, come on! I just put everyone's stuff in and stuff, and now I gotta change it all. I gotta put this and this. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Well, yeah, I think we all got a few bad flashbacks with that 60 car being brought up, but we'll prevail. And I think we should talk about go into some of the TV news. I think talk about one of Junior's new co-workers on NBC, AJ Allmendinger. He's been hired by NBC. What do you think his role for the most part is going to be?
He's a TV guy. Like, Eric, go first. Sorry.
I wasn't gonna say anything. I mean, all I know is I know he's gonna be a part of NASCAR America. That's probably the biggest thing he's gonna be a part on, which I know he's already appeared on, many times just throughout the season. I don't know what. I think NBC, it feels like their broadcast booth, and Fox maybe a little bit too, is starting to get kind of crowded. Like NBC, they already had to push kind of like Steve Letarte and Jeff Burton had to kind of be pushed out of the way for Dale Jr. to come in. I don't know where they're gonna fit all these guys, but Allmendinger, he's a good TV guy. He was fun. He was a fun interview, fun person during the IMSA, the Rolex 24 race this last weekend. So he'll be great. I'm excited.
Yeah, he's honestly one of the most underrated personalities, I guess. Like, nobody really talks about his personality as much and stuff like that. I don't know why. I mean, he's pretty funny and stuff, and he seems like a TV guy too. So I'm happy he was able to find that role and stuff. He's also one of the only few success stories from like open wheel to NASCAR and stuff. Accomplishing quite a bit in both those racing series. So so props to him on that.
I'm looking in the chat, and I know that he's probably not going to do it, but I'm So Epic 8 Review was saying that the Dinger would be a pit reporter. I don't think he'll be there. I think because he's mostly doing NASCAR America, but I could totally see him being a good pit reporter down there. I mean, who do they have down there right now? They have Kelly Stavis, Marty Snyder, Parker Kligerman. Is it just 3?
Rutledge Wood.
Oh,
Rutledge. That's right. Does he count as a pit reporter though?
He's not really a pit reporter, but he's their utility guy.
Hey, look at this! Isn't that a saying?
Oh, yeah. But I could see that though.
Maybe they could utilize him in some of the Expedition coverages.
Dave Burns. Why? How could I forget Dave Burns?
Steve Burns.
Dave.
Right.
Dave.
Yeah.
Good morning, Dave. So yeah. Oh, really quick. 218 watching. Click that like button, y'all. Get that ratio really good. Just because I know we got a few new people here, so we got to get into that what would you call it? Our ritual, I guess. Click the like button.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sticking in the TV realm, Fox Sports made a ton of moves this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you start with that? I mean, I know.
I think Bob is one of the first ones.
Yeah, Bob Pockrass. That's right. Bob Pockrass is with Fox Sports. Let's see. Bob Pockrass is, Ricky Craven is, Jamie McMurray, and then Jeff Gordon, I think, signed a extension with Fox.
Extension. Yeah.
So what's everyone's take?
People have mixed feelings on Jeff Gordon, but you know what? If you're asking me, I think he is the future of the color commentating with them.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, he's well liked. I think in first year he wasn't as liked as he is now, though.
I think Jamie McMurray is their future. Maybe Ricky. I think Jamie McMurray is more the future because Jeff Gordon, he signed an extension, but all the reports say he's going to go become the head of Hendrick Motorsports at some point. I don't see him sticking with Fox the way Darrell Waltrip has stuck with Fox for decades now. But yeah, I like all their additions. I don't think Jamie McMurray's going to bring anything new to the TV side of things. He seems like a very clean cut, not going to say anything controversial kind of guy, which is fine, but not really what we're looking for. Ricky Craven's a little more like on the nose. He'll tell it like it is. I'm more excited to see what he says. I'll bet he'll be more on like Race Hub and whatnot. I haven't seen exactly if they've said what these people are going to be focused on. I want to see him put Bob Pockrass on TV. Can we get him give him a microphone?
Oh, I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that.
Well, needless to say, Fox has done. Fox is basically double their staff almost. It feels like this offseason.
I have a feeling that during Speedweeks, when they are trying their best to get content, that we probably see Bob a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool and stuff. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I could see, and we'll talk about this a little more later too, but with the whole like Vegas test and stuff, I could see him being the guy they send to the track to have updates about testing and stuff, or about different teams on Race Hub maybe.
Yeah, I can tell you Jeff Gluck's going to be there tomorrow, and I wouldn't be surprised if Pockrass is there tomorrow as well.
I saw an article, not to go off topic, but I've seen people say like tomorrow, or when is it tomorrow, or is it just throughout the weekend? Like when does it? How long does the test run?
So the test is from Thursday to Friday.
Okay.
On Thursday, it's from 8 a.m. all the way until 7 p.m. And then on Friday, it's from 8 a.m. to noon.
Yeah, well, I've heard that this test, because I think there's going to be 12 drivers there, it's going to be the first time we truly see the new aero package on intermediate track. This might be the most important couple of tests in NASCAR history. It's going to be a lot of eyes are going to be watching these, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, they had the Fontana tests and stuff, and a lot of eyes were on that as well.
There were only like 3 cars?
There's more cars and stuff. I think there's like 20. I think there's 20 plus cars at this test. So I'll find out tomorrow. But yeah, there's a lot more cars and stuff, and it'll be really interesting to see if they all decide to run in like one big pack together to see how the cars run and stuff like that too. So we'll find out.
I saw that NASCAR is going to be even streaming these practice sessions, I think, on their website, NASCAR.com. The only other time I've seen them stream a test was for the Roval last year because there was all the hype behind that. So that should tell you, this is just a test at Las Vegas. Not that big a deal, but they're going to be streaming it. They're going to be covering it because I think everyone knows this is an important and a very intriguing test. So I don't mean to get off topic. We're talking about Fox.
I think it's all right to talk about that a little bit just because, like you're saying, being one of the most important tests that they'll have, It probably is because if they don't get what they want, or good racing from it, and it's not like that through the season, and we see what we saw last year or worse, then they're gonna shift away from this direction. If they see what they do want to see and it's a lot closer together, and the racing's a lot closer and everything, that could be the direction they move in for the next decade or two. And that's what the next generation of fans are going to see moving forward. So I don't think it's an understatement to say that this is probably one of the biggest tests in NASCAR history.
Yeah, so they should run in a big pack though if you have that many cars and stuff like that too. Like I don't know, single car runs. I don't think NASCAR is sort of looking for that for that. So I think NASCAR is probably going to step in and be like look, like you got your single car runs out of the way. Now let's all try out. And see what this will look like in a pack. So
what I'm more intrigued about is what they're going to find out that they didn't anticipate. Like there's always something, no matter what they do, whether it's with the COT the first time at Talladega, the COT in general, Gen 6, at any test whatsoever. it always seems like there's something that comes out of it that they never expected. Like, we didn't realize that we could do the 2-car tandem, or we didn't realize that the aero push with the Gen 6 is more than the Gen 5.
2-car tandem at Vegas. That's start being a thing. Like 2-car tandem at like Atlanta, Vegas, or whatever the package is going to be running. Oh my god.
The only tracks there's not tandem racing are like the plate tracks. Like even the short tracks, they have tandem racing.
Yeah, tandem racing.
But I'm really intrigued about what they're gonna find out, because I really don't see even Atlanta being a good judgment of what we're gonna see, because Atlanta is so old and worn out and so
they're not
different.
using the aero ducts there.
That's right. Yeah. So Las Vegas really is.
It's the perfect test.
Yeah.
Perfect test. See what happens. Right.
Congrats, Darian. You lucked out on that one.
Yeah.
Finally, what? Some good racing at Vegas? What?
It's gonna be a test session.
But here, backtracking really quick to the Fox stuff. So we got stuff with Pockrass, McMurray, Craven, Gordon. I might actually tune into, because I haven't watched Race Hub since Steve Burns passed. I just never really was, like, with him not there, and once they got rid of, because I was one of the few people that actually really liked the chemistry between him, Daniel Trotta, and Jimmy Spencer. But I might check it out. I might check it out for a few times, if I don't have any homework or something going on, or just check out at least the highlights I have from it, because I really like Ricky Craven. The thing that sticks out the most for me with Ricky Craven was after the Kenseth Logano deal. He was one of the only people in the media that actually went to Kenseth's defense. And that surprised me, especially from someone like Ricky Craven. But it's because of the understanding he has of the driver's perspective, and on top of that, how he knows he doesn't have to hold back. He's not going to say anything too outlandish or something that'll get him kicked off TV forever or something. But he can put just enough of himself out there to stand out. So he's definitely the one of all of them I'm most excited to see. And then with McMurray, I definitely could see McMurray, while he's only going to be doing studio stuff for the start, I could see him maybe being the driver they put in for Xfinity or truck races. So
anything's better than Vince Welch. Anything. I'm sorry.
I want to echo again what you said about Ricky Craven. I like that he's more recently, like, he hasn't raced in it's been like 10 years at least, probably since Ricky Craven was in a car. I don't know when he officially retired from driving.
It was more than 10, I think. I think it was like 04. Yeah.
Was it really 04? I thought it was like 07. Okay.
Well, actually, his last start was like in the Busch Series in 06. But yeah, pretty much 04. Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's raced with a lot of the guys that are still out there today. He's more like he's been out of the car more recently. That's something I like about Jeff Gordon and Dale Jr. is I think their insight is honestly in today's NASCAR is more valuable than Darrell Waltrip's. Like, Darrell Waltrip hasn't raced a car in decades. Like, he can't relate to what they're doing today as much as he used to be able to. So I do like that Ricky Craven's always been that kind of guy. And he's also, since he's not a Jeff Gordon or a Dale Jr. who needs to kind of protect his reputation still because they still got big endorsements, Ricky Craven's just Ricky Craven. He can say whatever he wants. He doesn't have to worry what Nationwide's going to say about what he says, So I like that he's always kind of been able to go against the grain. And I always think he has well thought out of thoughts. So, of course, I sided with him on the Kenseth Logano deal, so maybe that's why.
So you're biased. You're biased already. So.
I'm biased, but I think he made up a good point. Somebody in the chat said Kyle Petty was really mad at Kenseth. Kyle Petty hasn't been competitive like in 20 years. Like Kyle Petty wasn't relevant. It hasn't been relevant in a long time as a driver, at least. So I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, Craven was part of like the closest finish ever a year before he retired, so it's like I agree, and that's why I brought up the Kenseth thing. I was like, I want to just see if I get a comment out of him. But sticking with Fox Sports, if there's not anything else we're gonna put on that, I don't know. Is anyone else got anything they're gonna say on that?
Their race hub comes back on Monday, February 4th. So.
We beat him. We beat
him to it. So I guess there's that.
But Fox Sports also made another move. They're not showing live feeds of NASCAR races anymore in Australia. And I know a lot of people were kind of, again, like, Australia is not probably the biggest haven of NASCAR fans in the world. But I know a lot of people were like, wow, so, a lot of people are like, where do I look? Like, I look on NASCAR Reddit every now and then, and I saw a few people on there like, how do I watch now? I don't want to just wait till 4 a.m. when there's a replay.
Mm-hmm.
What I think it is I don't think it's necessarily they're cutting costs. I think you look at the people they're hired. You got Pockrass, you got McMurray, and Craven, and then you also look at they just signed Gordon to an extension. They have this whole new digital studio, and it's like, wow, it's probably not going to cost as much as going to the tracks. It probably, I would think long term probably would cost more to keep having to do different effects all the time and having to constantly do all that. And then on top of it, they're talking about hiring more people. Like, I think one of their tweets said there's more to come. So what I think it is they're sort of restructuring where their money is going and what's the most important thing. And I think unfortunately for our fans down under, that wasn't their top priority. So I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I don't know as much about. See, that's the thing is I know Australia is a market for NASCAR. Like I know there are a notable number of fans in Australia, so it's a shame for them. But I would like to know, and I don't know the details of like what percentage of your average, like on a typical Sunday afternoon NASCAR broadcast, what percentage are really coming from Australia? And this, I don't know, we probably have a couple people watching from Australia right now, or I don't know, maybe it's like probably like 2 a.m. in Australia for all I know. I don't know how time zones work, but yeah, needless to say, it's just kind of, I don't know if Fox was really getting the most bang for their buck with that whole deal. That's a whole different continent. That's probably a large investment. I doubt they were making as much money per viewer as they are in America or in Europe or North America, wherever they are. So I don't know the details, but you're right. I think they're choosing to restructure where they spend their money, and they're focusing on the people. They're focusing on the actual content more so than where it's going, which I don't know. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but it's unfortunate for those people. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, based on NASCAR's history, it's a bit of a surprise because they used to race in Australia sometimes in the late '80s, I believe. I think the last time they raced there was like 1985, 86, something like that. It was a long time ago. And now NASCAR is rumored to be going back there to like do some little a little type race like they used to do in Japan and stuff. So I don't know. I feel like it's just like NASCAR it's just like NASCAR on Fox is just basically they're just trying to cut costs at this point and stuff, and Australia just wasn't they weren't a priority. So and it was 1988. So yeah, that was the last time NASCAR raced there.
Oh, and then the chat, the gun says 12:31 p.m. in Australia right now. So
they're all on their lunch break watching our show right now. Hello, Australia.
Shout out to Australia, man. Yeah.
See, I feel bad if I had said like, oh yeah, they're not probably the highest priority, or there's probably not many out there. I'm like, my bad if you all are out there, and no disrespect.
Oh. Thanks for choosing to watch us crazy Americans.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking is maybe, because I think last year the racing didn't help. The racing for the Fox races, I mean, for the most part, it was pretty lackluster.
Yeah.
Three winners pretty much the entire time that Fox had it.
Yeah, and what I'm
Austin Dillon.
Oh, that's right.
and Clint Boyer like twice.
Right.
Yeah, and you notice the Clint Boyer one was probably one of the most exciting and most liked wins out of all of those. What I'm thinking is, the coverage wasn't good. Like, I think we can all agree, whether you love or hate Fox, the coverage was not as good as it was in previous years. And what I'm thinking is maybe part of that was, they got the old, like maybe there's a restructuring and the new graphics and stuff this year, and what they were just doing last year, it was just going through the motions, getting ready for 2019. Take the hit in 18 to get ready for 19 when NASCAR does this big, almost rebranding of the racing. So that's my theory on it. And if their coverage this year is better, and if all these changes and all these different people coming on make the coverage more engaging for fans, I'll take back a lot of what I said last year about how bad they were. So yeah, that's one of my theories. I hope that's what it is, because if that is what is going on, I think that it'll benefit all of us more than anyone else out there.
Oh, and they also got rid of the Hollywood Hotel as well. So that's another cutback and stuff as well. So I think they're also rolling out a new graphics package as well, so that's interesting to say the least. And oh boy, you got another super chat, man, from Canada of all places too.
Oh yes. Let me. Guidal Kraken Games. I think. I'm sorry if I butchered how to pronounce your name. Says, what do you guys think of Dale Jr. racing the 8 again?
We actually went into pretty good detail on that earlier. If you missed
Yeah, just rewind it.
Well, I'll just say, in case you don't want to rewind. Long story short, we're happy about it. Think it's pretty cool, but at the same time, while it's a good story, there's probably a lot better ones that'll come out. So I don't think it should be the end all be all for people. But thank you so much from Canada.
Last thing I want to say about Fox, sorry, was just I do feel like last year I've defended them more than I think most of you guys. I still think Fox is equal. Maybe I still maybe prefer Fox to NBC just because I love Mike Joyce so much. But I do think last year, I think the racing hurt them far more than anything they did. I think sure graphics weren't up to date, some of their commercial breaks. I think people really got upset with Fox, and I see the super chat from Sloppy Joe. Thank you, Sloppy. But I think the biggest issue people had with Fox was that Talladega race where they sold more ad space than they should have, and they ran too many commercials during green flag runs. That's when that Talladega race, people were upset with Fox, and I completely understand that. Besides that race, though, I think Fox really just suffered from the racing. They didn't have any good races except maybe the Daytona 500.
Weren't there like 5 of them too that were affected due to weather? Like, because I know that Dover was, Michigan was,
That's true.
Martinsville got snowed out.
I think
Bristol, and I think only 4. I think only 4 guys.
And you look at, they switched to NBC and immediately had maybe the greatest finish ever with Larson and Kyle Busch. There's just literally like Fox had to be just, I was gonna say rolling in their grave, but they're not dead. They just had to be dying over there.
Thank you, Sloppy, saying I don't know why I'm sending this. Because you love me. I'm one of your favorite ones on here on the internet.
Shout out to Sloppy.
Shout out to Sloppy.
Esports.
Yeah, that's right.
Best esports racer. The best esports racer. I don't know who else is racing, but I know Sloppy is.
Yeah, sub to Sloppy, and if you're on Twitter, follow him too for all the esports stuff so that you can support him. We're all supporting him here. So let's see. What were we talking about? Yeah, I knew immediately when Chicagoland got brought up, somebody in the chat, Slide Job, Rusty's Racing Network. So, yeah. What else was there? I thought there was one other thing we were talking about with this, but
we're talking about like the rain shortened races and stuff.
Yeah,
weren't we?
But talking about like where races are going to be broadcast. So unless you just haven't seen in the past year or so, NASCAR bought ARCA. So ARCA, is it going into effect this year or 2020?
Next year. Next year. Yeah.
Okay.
Transitioning off that note, we didn't even talk about this. Apparently, there was a big penalty for a ARCA team.
Oh, or no, a K&N East team.
Actually. Oh yeah, go over that really quick. Yeah. Because I'm not in the full loop on that one. I just saw it before we went live.
So we're transitioning from the Fox and stuff.
Yeah. Just talk about that. The penalty really quick because I don't know what it is.
The team DGR or DRG Crosley Racing last year in the K&N East series, Tyler Eicham, who is another pretty good up and coming prospect, who's going to be racing for them in the truck series. So make sure to watch out for him. His defending team, the defending K&N East Series championship team, got penalized. And it's honestly one of the biggest penalties in all of NASCAR history, probably. From the last time I checked, 100 point deduction in owners points and in championship points, I believe, before the season's even begun. Their team can't race for 3 races, and they were fined. Oh, I don't know. I gotta look all this stuff. Yeah, they were fined $50,000 for a K&N team. I'm like, what did they do? I'm like, what did they do? Like they must have like done something incredibly illegal just for testing. And also Ty Gibbs. I believe he's the grandson of Joe Gibbs, I'm assuming. He can't race for 3 races, and he's new to the team, so his season's basically over before it started because K&N East, they don't use the playoffs.
Was it 50,000 or 5,000?
Excuse me?
Check really quick. Was it 50? Someone in the chat said it was 5,000.
Auto Rocking said 5,000. So
the owner was fined 50,000, and I think the driver was fined 5,000.
And you know who one of the owners are, right?
No.
David Gilliland, right?
David Gilliland, yes, that's right. That's the team he's invested a lot in and stuff. It's like what, like I don't think anyone said what they did though, because it's only testing. So they must have like done something incredibly illegal to not be able to race the first 3 races. Like it's insane.
So it just comes out now that they were found with what do you call it? They were found with DC Solar when the FBI came. And really quick, another super chat from C. Chastain, $2 says, "Any of you guys aspire to work in NASCAR one day?" I think we all do.
Yeah, we.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is all hypothetical and all that. It'd be great to one day have this particular, group of 4 maybe presenting to a little bit larger audience one day.
Yeah, I'm currently an intern at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in PR, so hopefully that goes somewhere else. But yeah, just working hard to eventually work there one day.
And then another detail on that K&N East story. I know right before we went live, I was reading David Gill and that whole team. They're appealing the penalty. They're like, we don't think we broke the rules. They're appealing it. But I did go in and see that apparently NASCAR has like photo or video evidence of them using. I think since they're a K&N East team, but they were testing an ARCA car, so that was their thing. Like, but we're testing an ARCA car. That's not the thing. But they had, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe somebody in the chat knows, I believe the main reason is they have photo evidence or video evidence that they were using a K&N engine in the practice. So that's what's going to get them. So
I think there's a little bit of difference in like the horsepower. Oh, hey, you got a good super chat there from
C4.
Joseph, $10. Thanks, man. God, I'll bring this up while I'm thinking of it. A lot of us are going to be in Bristol this year, so fans, if you want to meet us. But Joseph, I don't know for sure if you're going or not. I haven't asked people in a while, but if you are, dude, I can't wait to meet you there. So yeah. I know that you're going to be in Vegas, so.
Yeah, we're gonna hang out after the podcast actually. So gonna go over to I keep wanting to say B-Dubs all the time. No, we're going to Dave and Buster's after this. So. Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, that's a huge penalty.
But Eric, explain the situation again. It was an ARCA car with a K&N engine.
That's what I saw. I don't know if that's exactly correct, but
because they do have an ARCA team and they're running. They do have a truck team as well. But yeah, I didn't know. Like maybe they didn't know that was illegal or something like that. I'm not really sure.
They're thinking like, oh, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't keep up with the rules closely in ARCA or K&N, so I don't know. Obviously, I know in NASCAR they put a limit on how much you can test, and I assume if you go over that limit, you get a pretty bad penalty. So.
Oh my gosh, that penalty was horrible.
Yeah, assuming this penalty stands, their season's over. Which I don't know much about the team. I know they're competitive usually. So
they're the best team. They're the best team in all the series. So it's pretty big.
Well, I'm gonna go off on a limb though about if they didn't know the rules. I'm even as like foggy as NASCAR's rule book can be at times. I think something like that's pretty cut and dry. Yeah. So. But what I have noticed about, especially since they put like the different like L1 to L4 whatever penalty system in place, is that there is a really good chance that their penalty will be reduced based on what at least more public penalties have been. I've noticed like, not to pick on Matt Kenseth here, but I think in 2013 he got penalized like 50 points and it got reduced to like 25.
Yeah. It got reduced to 12.
12. Okay. Yeah. So yep.
Also, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I noticed a question here on the DGR situation. They asked, will the penalty, will it allow Decker to still race in the truck race?
What has she got to do with this? She ain't got nothing to do with it.
No, although it's a team, it does not affect the truck program, guys.
But I was looking in chat. Ultimate 23 Dragon brought up a good point. So how can they tell the difference between a K&N engine and an ARCA engine?
One thing I saw, and I think it was Matt Weaver, I believe, on Twitter, who's going back and forth with fans asking these questions. He said there was something, like I think they run a spec engine. And then again, I'm so far from this situation, but I heard them mention something about how K&N runs a spec engine. Like I think it's a Ford engine, even though like some of the teams are Toyotas and Chevy. I think it's actually a Ford-built engine. And I think ARCA runs a spec Chevy engine. And there is a noticeable difference. Maybe I have those backwards, something like that. I think since it's a spec engine in both series, they know what to look for. Who knows how they found it out? Again, we should move on from this topic because I don't think any of us are very informed about this situation.
Yeah, it all happened like all today. It's like, whoa.
It's like the 5th or 6th series in NASCAR, like not even one of the national ones.
And that's the thing on some of this stuff, guys. Bear with us. We're all fans who, some of us have some connections and some of us don't. And sometimes we just know what we can find out from reports, So bear with us on some things, We're fans. We love the sport. We're not in the sport though. We're not actively in it though. Bear with us on some things.
Well, I'd say that I totally agree, and I do think we should transition because we're probably off on a little bit of it. But I think one thing we can report on for sure that we got confirmation on over the off season is that every ARCA race will be live on TV on Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, and MAV TV. So I want to see what are your guys' thoughts about that? And Darian, I think you're probably going to bring back your ARCA viewing parties again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I haven't done one of those in a while. Wow. Well, yeah, good point. Well, last year, like, for ARCA, it was like record. It was a record-setting year in terms of TV ratings and stuff. Eric, I watched your video today. You had mentioned the numbers earlier. Yeah. What were they?
They averaged per race last year, at least the Fox broadcast did, the FS1, FS2 broadcast. They averaged 301,000 viewers per race, which was up like 40,000 more than they had the year before. So, yeah.
And here's the thing, though. I never saw any sort of promotions for the races, too. So that tells you a lot, about the whole, about their records and, for 2018 and stuff. So maybe for 2019, you might see some more marketing for ARCA, possibly. I know MAV TV really markets the hell out of it and stuff. I see commercials on there about ARCA all the time and stuff, and they always run reruns for ARCA races from the previous season too. So it'll be really interesting to see if they can maybe top those records and stuff. I doubt it. But if they can, if they can maintain somewhere around where they were last year and stuff, that'll be pretty cool. And also, people were like, wait, like every race wasn't already televised? Like literally one race wasn't televised last year. That was it.
Hey,
like just one.
I just remembered since a year ago, I moved to Nashville, and ARCA is coming to Nashville. I forgot. In May, I need to go to it.
Yeah,
on the ground reporter. Maybe
they're also going to Five Flags too. If you know anything about that track's pretty awesome.
Honestly, we should. You should, if you have the opportunity, Danny, to go to that, because that would be pretty cool. Since and we can add in any documentary footage you have from there.
Yeah,
it'd probably be me like rushing from the car dealership trying to get over there because it'd be on a Saturday night.
Have a bunch of intense music in the background.
Yeah, just calling sick again, bro. Just calling sick, man.
Really quick, I see in the chat, DC Comics Racing put has the swear jar rule rolled over to season 2 of the podcast. Yes, I got all that out of my system before. You can ask these guys; their ears were bleeding. Yes, it's carried over.
Also, I've been hitting the books, so no more John Deere this year.
You're more literate this year? Is that what you just said?
I said no more John Deere this year. So.
No, you will always have John Deere.
It's funny. One little off-topic thing, and then we'll get back. So when I worked at the airport, what was really funny is that every time, like I always forget where I was supposed to turn off because I was always driving at night, and then I noticed something. So every night I would have to turn off. The exit with the John Deere dealership was the one I turned off at. So every night I'm like, oh, the John Deere one, okay. It's like podcast lives on forever.
Oh, man. I'm still working on some shirts, by the way, so be on the lookout.
Yeah. So yeah, what was it? How many races does ARCA have right now?
20. Well, let me just be sure. I believe it's around 19 to 20.
It's 20, and I think this year 8 are going to be on FS1 or FS2, which I think is like the same as last year. Or I don't know if it's the same, but it's similar.
So, well, you know why? It's probably like since they had like since I have like one that wasn't live, I think I remember which one that was. It's the one that was during the Daytona summer race.
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah.
It was. They were at Iowa. That's right. And like, I remember I was looking at the schedule and I was like, why is this during the summer race? Like, come on, ARCA. Like, you can't schedule it for a Sunday. Come on now.
Yeah, I remember like all of us were talking about that too. I think off air at one point during the summer, we're like, wait a minute, you've scheduled that race during one of the most watched NASCAR races of the year, and it starts at the same time.
I think the that IndyCar was running at Iowa like that Sunday, so maybe that's why they had to move it to Saturday. But still, it's like maybe it was a scheduling mishap on their part. They were like, oh, when's the Daytona race again? The same day as our ARCA race. It's like, oh, we messed up.
It was at this moment ARCA knew
they effed up.
Yeah, they blanked up.
They blinked up.
You about messed up.
No, I didn't mess up. I was either thinking to say blank or just not say it.
Yeah.
Think of all my cussing alternatives.
Gosh darn it.
Yes, Thick Daddy, I know your fun fact. Minnesota Vikings failed to make the playoffs. I know. And we're all rooting for Darian's Rams to win.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
And if you ain't, then get on somewhere with that.
Maybe Darian will live stream it.
No, I'm not live streaming it.
Like if you put the name Super Bowl in your title, someone's gonna come take it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, don't want another Cody thing where get demonetized and channel suspended and all that stuff. All that crazy stuff there. So.
Let's go. Let's see. Really back. Let's rein it back in really quick. So the duels are obviously coming up. February 14th. They got a new name. Who has that name on them right now? Is it like
Gander RV.
I'll look it
Gander
up.
RV Duels?
Yeah, it's Gander RV Duels.
Yeah.
It just
really rolls off the tongue beautifully.
Oh yeah, I was about to say that. It's like I'm speaking a new language right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like Gander RV. I mean, like I think Camping World would sound better. Like just promote that brand instead.
Or just the Gander Duels at Daytona. Like that would sound a lot better too.
Well, what happened to Can-Am? What happened? Like I thought they were in for the long haul or something. I guess not. I guess they were like, yeah, we're out.
Maybe they're focusing their efforts more on the 32 car.
Oh, probably so. Gotta get Corey LaJoie all the help he needs there. So, good luck. Get on that.
So yeah, we got that. So I did notice when they announced it though, the thing that caught my eye was now Daytona has all of the sponsorship set up for Speedweek. So I was like, wait, now? Okay.
They usually have that stuff like on top. Like,
yeah, it just surprised me. I mean, and I think that's just something that NASCAR's been working towards. I've noticed a lot of these contracts and a lot of races are like this now. And to be fair, the duels of any race of the year, they're even though a lot of people watch them, generally they're on the lower end. So I can understand where it's like that's going to be one of the last ones this year to get ad space. So I don't think it's too much to be worried about because the big ones, Daytona 500 obviously, and they'll have all the sponsors for that. That's they basically have that thing sponsored like commercials on the Super Bowl, and then the Clash that was sponsored. So and the other ones were too with the trucks and Xfinity and ARCA. So I don't think it's anything to worry about.
Oh, also, according to the chat, Can-Am left the sport entirely. They left the 32 and the 36 of Alex LeBay in Xfinity. So, yep, they're gone, I guess.
I mean, I don't know, something like that. I guess that's something that, like, NASCAR might not have been the best market for them to be looking into because Can-Am is like four-wheelers and ATVs, and maybe not everyone is looking to buy that right now.
Yeah. Oh well.
What, you're not gonna want to go and be on a four-wheeler and it's -23 out like it is up here?
Yeah. So let's say that. Let's go around the four of us. What is the current temperature where you are at right now?
Oh, it's pretty cold over here. It's about 57 outside. It's pretty cold. I had to wear the whole hoodie and stuff. So, yeah.
This doesn't count. The bird does not count as cussing.
Mine's a nice balmy 50 degrees right now in Central Texas.
How about you, Danny? You go first.
I'm at 17. It feels like 7, but I'm sure Jarrett would love to be there.
Oh yeah, I would because it's currently -20 here, with it feels like -36.
You owe degrees. How does that feel?
You're in debt to degrees. Right?
I'm a college student. I know I'm already in debt. But yeah, it's wonderful.
We don't call you the Iceberg for nothing. So
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Well, I'm looking in the chat.
Go
I'm
live up to your name. Go outside for a little bit.
I already went outside. I wore 10 layers and it was still freezing.
just walk outside. He comes back. His hair is white. Just immediately.
No,
frosted.
actually, when I got to my car, my beard, just from breathing, already was frozen.
Jeez.
Which, by the way, since this is on topic with the way that the chat works, yes, the beard is back. It'll be back for a while. So
Right.
Until it
No
warms
worries.
up, at least.
yeah, until it warms up. Let's just keep this. It'll be here long for at least through the middle of March. I'll keep it like that.
Alright.
People who understand what reference, which there's not many, but people who understand what reference I'm referencing to, thank you.
Hey, quick question. Can NASCARs race in below 26-degree weather? Could they do that if they wanted to?
I wouldn't try it.
I did see something pretty interesting though, that Chicago, to keep the train system running, they actually have like a gas heater that literally has it's producing like a little bit of a flame that runs alongside the rails just to heat the tracks up.
Oh, it looks like when they burn a little of the exhaust out of the exhaust in NASCAR.
Yep.
So we're all suffering in some way or another. Some of us are just coldly suffering more. What else we got here? Let's see.
Should we finally? We're nearing the halfway point of the show. Should we go ahead and do a rundown of all the silly season moves
And the teams and
I
stuff.
think it'd be fun. We should talk about like who we're most excited. We should run down. In fact, I have the list pulled up. I think of pretty much every Cup Series change.
Oh,
I'm
he's
gonna
got the
run
list.
And then I think maybe all of us should give like our top 2 people we're most interested in watching this year. Does that sound
Okay.
fun?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Give why we're
Because we're not
interested.
really predicting anything like we usually would, so this
That's right.
this really works.
Yeah, we gotta save that for the next few weeks.
Yes, Chase Elliott's going to get his first career win again.
All right. Well, I think I have most of them here. So big one, Daniel Suarez is moving to the 41. Martin Truex Jr. is taking his old ride in the 19. Jamie McMurray is basically retiring. He's going to run the Clash in the Daytona 500 with Chip Ganassi, or with Spire Motorsports affiliated with Chip Ganassi. Matt Kenseth is retired as far as we know. So is Trevor Bayne. Ryan Newman is going to be driving the 6 car for Roush this year. Kurt Busch has moved over to Chip Ganassi. He's going to be in the 1. AJ Allmendinger's retired. He ran the Rolex 24. He's now at NBC. Ryan Preece is going to be in the number 47 car at JTG Doherty. Daniel Hemrick's going to be a rookie. He'll be in the 8 car for RCR, which used to be the 31. They're converting that to the 8. Matt DiBenedetto is moving over to Leavine Family Racing, which is switching to Toyota. Casey Kane's effectively retired. He's focusing on his dirt racing team right now. Corey LaJoie is going to the 32, and Matt Tifft is going to be a rookie driving the number 36 for Front Row Motorsports. Other important notes: Chad Knaus and Kevin Meandering, the Hendrick Motorsports crew chief swap. Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson no longer going to be together. Knaus is moving over to William Byron. Kevin Meandering is being promoted from Junior Motorsports Xfinity Series team to be Johnson's new crew chief. A few other ones. I think Mike Wheeler is going to be the crew chief for Leavine for DiBenedetto. I think Chris Gabehart's going to come from the Xfinity Series to crew chief for Hamlin. A few other ones. There's a lot of details here. Scott Graves is moving from the 19 to the 6 in the Cup Series. Danny Stockman is going to be in the 3. I think that's staying the same. Blickensderfer is moving from Bubba Wallace to Front Row Motorsports. And so I think that's mostly it. I think I've got pretty much all of them. Tanner Berryhill is going to be going full-time this year as well. That's new.
And Bubba still doesn't have a crew chief yet.
Yeah, Bubba, as far as we know, no crew chief for the 43 team yet. So
I might find out tomorrow too. He might be there. It's like, oh, that's your guy. Oh, okay. We might find out tomorrow.
Feels like Lightning McQueen and cars, and it's just gonna be like Richard Petty. He's a crew chief.
Yeah.
Oh God, what he's gonna do? Run it into the ground more than he already has? Come on.
Well, I'll say right off the bat, come on, okay. I'll say right off the bat, I'm actually the thing I'm most interested at, and I don't think many people might agree, even though they're probably gonna be interested in it as well. I'm really intrigued with the Hendrick crew chiefs because one, we know they struggled last year, but Jimmy Johnson was routinely the third or fourth best Hendrick car last year, and he'd been on a downward slope for a while. But at the same time, I mean, when like 3 wins and 20 something top tens in a championship year is a downward slope, then shows the level he was at. But it got pretty sharp the last 2 years, especially last year. What I'm most intrigued about is because I think William Byron has the potential to be a superstar. I think that he just needs to get his footing. What I am intrigued at is who's going to run better this year, and I think it's a real question. People might scoff at it after how bad Byron did last year and how Johnson still made the playoffs. Who's going to do better, the 24 or the 48? Because I think then we'll really find out who was the biggest key to the success or the problem. Is it Knaus? Was he just not setting the cars up right, or was maybe Johnson losing his edge? I think we're going to find out a lot more about that next year. And then, wow, that's your name. Wow, $2 super chat says, wow. Raise hail and praise Dale. Dale, yeah. Dale, yeah.
Oh my God.
Got that at Martinsville in 15.
I have a feeling that between the 24 and the 48, I think the 48 will probably have a better overall performance like for the year. But I don't know. I got a feeling somehow. I think both cars actually get a win, but maybe Byron just gets one more.
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah, Byron's gonna make the playoffs, guys. Mark my words. I'm pretty confident he's gonna make the playoffs. So, and Johnson, he's gonna make the playoffs as well. But I still have Johnson doing a little bit better than Byron this year, though.
Damn.
Really?
Wow.
Really, I think the 9 will be the best one of the Hendrick cars.
Yeah, I think we all can probably agree on that one.
I think all Hendrick cars are going to get a win this year, actually. I really do.
Okay.
Ooh. Okay. Well,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that's actually not as far-fetched as we think, but just I think after the bad memories of the last 2 years of Hendrick. But I mean, I could totally see it.
I'm not saying that, they're all going to be slamming them or nothing like that, but I'm saying I think they could all just, get one. There might be, like, Elliott might get 3.
Yeah, I think the one that everyone's probably, and I think that it's a little, they'll probably be wrong, but a lot of people are thinking that the weakest link will be Alex Bowman. But I don't think so, especially when looking for wins, because if you look, I mean, he's good. He was good at ISM that first time around in the 88. At the same time, though, that 88 team, first with Letarte, then with Greg Ives and Dale Jr. and Alex Bowman, they've always been good at Pocono. Like the 88, like they'll have one or two here or there. And Daytona and Talladega. But I think especially
Bowman
Pocono.
ran really good at Martinsville and Bristol, too.
Yeah. And I think the thing with Pocono for sure is why I'm looking at it is I think he ran 3rd or 4th in the fall race. And that was when Hendrick still was in that slump. I mean, Johnson wasn't performing well. Byron was non-existent all year. And then while Elliott won, at the same time, he still was hot and cold. And Bowman still performed there with Hendrick on a downward spiral at that point. So I could see Bowman getting a win off of being not fuel mileage and not because of just a lucky break. I think of genuinely of having speed. He could get a win at Pocono next year. Now, do I think it's the most likely thing that'll happen? No, but I definitely see that as something that could happen, and that's why I think Bowman will be right around that playoff line again. I think he's a good enough driver too.
I'm officially dipping my toe at least onto the Alex Bowman hype train or the bandwagon, whatever you want to call it. I think Alex Bowman last year blew me away. He might have impressed me, and I didn't really think. I started thinking about this as the offseason went on, but he might have been the most impressive driver to me last year. He took a team. Chevy had a down year last year, and despite that, in his first year in competitive equipment, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2017 never cracked the top 20 in points in that 88 car, and that was still a decent year for Chevy. Like it was a down year, but it wasn't as bad as 2018. 2018, the cars were worse than 2017, and Alex Bowman not only made the playoffs, but even advanced past the first round. And when he did that, I get that he was never a championship contender. At best, he was a 10th place guy most weeks, typically. You know, a few flashes here and there, but the fact that he was able to do that with what I think should have been the third best car at Hendrick, he made it look like the second best car. You know, in his first year in that equipment, I don't think he might win a race this year. I don't know if he wins more than one race this year, but he's a guy that he kind of makes me think of Eric Jones. I don't think either of them get that much hype. I think Jones is in slightly better equipment, which is why he won a race last year. But I think they're both probably equally talented, and depending on how their cars and teams develop, they could be part of the big top 5 going forward into NASCAR's future. I think Alex Bowman has a lot more talent than people realize.
And I think going off that, what makes it even more impressive is, and maybe this is me being I think this is probably me being a biased Junior fan, but I think that Greg Ives is probably the 4th best crew chief that they have at Hendrick. If you look, even with Dale Jr. in 2015, his good year, when stuff went wrong, you know, Ives didn't really make it better. It was Dale Jr. being the veteran leader. That was his first year. But then you look at 16. Junior, before his concussions, was still that good driver, you know, before then. And it just, the
barely
performance
in the
kept going down.
Concussion.
Yes.
Barely in the playoffs.
Yes. And you look, and even Jeff Gordon, which granted I know he was out of the car for half a season, but that's Jeff Gordon. He's a living legend. And Jeff Gordon was running just, you know, 6th to 8th at the highest. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot nowadays has to do with cars. So when you see somebody who did that improvement that Bowman did compared to Dale Jr. in 2017, I don't think it, like you said, I don't think it gets the credit it deserves. And again, I scoffed at the idea, you know, throughout the season, but the more you do think of it, it's like it's pretty impressive what he's been able to do with Chevy on a down year, Hendrick on a down year, and with probably the at best 3rd best crew chief at Hendrick right now. Mm-hmm. I give him credit, and I could see him being a lower end top 10 driver this year.
Yeah, that's basically what I think he's going to be.
I think one thing we can all agree on is that, you know, Alex Bowman, true rags to riches story, goes from driving for BK Racing of all teams his rookie year to Hendrick and stuff too. So I mean, that's a feel good story everyone should get behind and stuff. And I mean, I definitely think Byron can. Or no, not Byron. Sorry, I definitely think Bowman's. He can definitely get into the playoffs again on points. I'm not sure about a win yet and stuff, but I don't know. Again, great guys. I've never really been a big fan of his and stuff, so it'll be really interesting to see what they can do over there. But I kind of want to talk about. I sort of want to talk about another driver who's made a big move. Daniel Suarez to the 41 guys.
Here we go.
That is another one. That is another one we need to watch on. And I know last year I was really hard on him and stuff like that too. And then a lot of y'all were saying, well, why aren't you the same as why don't you judge him the same as Bubba and stuff? I got that all the time and stuff. And like I said, I mean, Bubba didn't do good at all either last year. He finished behind Ty Dillon in points. I mean, I don't need to say anything else. But you know,
at least with Bubba, he has the excuse of the equipment he's running.
Yeah, but still, he wrecks a lot. Yeah, but still, you know, Bubba wrecks a lot of cars and stuff like that. But that's for like another topic and stuff. But
hey, half the time the car he's driving doesn't have brakes like Pocono. So I mean,
yeah, good point. Yeah, good point. But for Suarez, I really think he can make the playoffs though. And I know it's hard to believe coming from me, but just hear me out. You know, we're running this new package. We ran something similar last year in the All-Star race. Suarez finished second in that race too. I mean, he was up front most of the time and stuff. He was running pretty good, and then after that, he was just running in, you know, typical, you know, outside of the top 10, top 15 most of the time and stuff like that for Joe Gibbs. But also that 19 team was never the best, anyways. Like everyone, you know, at times even I said, well, yeah, you know, he's you know, driving in Joe Gibbs. Why isn't he doing well? That team had multiple crew chief changes. Like even at the beginning of 2017, they changed the crew chief after Fontana, or at least heading into Fontana, I believe. So there was a lot of personnel changes, and also he doesn't have the best pit crew. They make a ton of mistakes during those pit stops. And then also some of the responsibility relies on Suarez not having much Cup Series, much Cup Series experience and that sort of thing. But now he's going to a team that's pretty much the best team all around, in my opinion. And he's going to be driving that awesome Aris paint scheme 41. I can't wait to see that in person during the season. So yeah, I'm expecting Suarez to make it in on points right now. So I think by the time the playoffs start, once the regular season ends, I could see him right around 12th, 13th in points. What do you guys think?
I agree with points, except I think he makes it in with a win. I think Daniel Suarez wins one race this year.
Where though?
Any intermediate track. Take a pick. I think it could be any intermediate. It'll be a bigger track. It won't be a short track win. I agree with pretty much everything you said, and I just kind of want to add to it. Daniel Suarez, last year, the last 2 years, he's basically been on the worst team for Joe Gibbs Racing. And now a lot of people still say, but it's Joe Gibbs Racing. They're arguably the top 2 team in NASCAR. You should still be better. Last year, he finished 20th in points. Compare that to the worst guys on some other teams. Last year, Stewart-Haas Racing was the best team in NASCAR. Their 4th best driver last year was Eric Almirola. And I know he made it to the round of 8, but he was 8th in points. Most of the year, he was around 10th to 12th in points. So Suarez was 20th. The 4th best driver at Hendrick Motorsports was William Byron. Hendrick Motorsports is a powerhouse team. He was 24th in points. You compare it to some of these other big name teams, and Daniel Suarez wasn't super slow off the pace. And then you went over how crew chief changes. Every team has that one car typically that's not always getting the best equipment. It's usually getting kind of the tests. It's always kind of that whole deal. And then I like that you mentioned the All-Star race, because since this package is going to sort of drive like the All-Star race in some ways, Suarez ran great. And I think also moving to Ford, which has consistently had, in my opinion, I don't know what the right word is, but just the fastest engines. There's a reason Fords dominate restrictor plate races the last few years, because when it just comes to mashing the gas and which cars go the fastest, Ford engines, Roush Yates engines are better than any of the other team's engines. So I think Ford, I know we're not getting into that yet. That is the one thing I'm optimistic about from Ford this year. Is I know they're switching to the Mustang, but they're still going to be running those same types of engines. So I'm still optimistic that we're not going to see too big of a drop off from Ford this year. But I think Suarez makes the playoffs, and I think he wins one race.
I don't think that we're going to see much of a difference in the Ford teams compared to the Chevy teams a year ago, because the Chevy teams, that was a much bigger change, both in terms of, I think, maybe not so much the engine they were running, but also mostly just in terms of the aerodynamics and how the car was handling with it. So I think in the case of the Ford Mustang versus the Ford Fusion, as far as, okay, if you're talking about the actual cars, major difference there. But as far as the race version of these cars, they're very actually kind of similar if you really look at them.
Mm-hmm. My thought too with Suarez is I think that I actually don't think he should be judged just off this year. Again, he's changing teams, and even for the best of drivers, changing a team is, you gotta learn the way that, a new crew chief, how he is. You gotta learn the way of just stuff around the shop. You have to learn just all this different stuff. So I wouldn't be 8 races in, 9 races in the year if he's running the same as he was last year. I wouldn't immediately be like, oh, he's a bust. Darian, make the video now. Just who cares? Get him out of here.
Really quick, guys. This isn't related to Suarez and stuff, but some good news from Robert Wickens. There was at one point they said he couldn't walk and stuff. Well, look at this, guys.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that, man. They said he couldn't walk at one point. He wouldn't walk again, and look at that. So, I don't know. Shout out to him and stuff. Hopefully he can get back in the IndyCar as soon as possible, man. That's awesome.
That is amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to say that he'll race again.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I probably said that wrong. Even if he doesn't race again and stuff, his quality of life and stuff, hopefully that's good.
I would love for him to get to a point, though, where he can do the pace car.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So that's amazing. And also shout out to Caleb for sending me that through DMs. But yeah, back to Suarez. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, with Suarez, I wouldn't be surprised if, again, I don't think he's gonna be as good as Joey Logano was his first year in a Ford. But if it wasn't like if you look at 2013 for Logano, a few wins, about, I think it was 7th or 8th in the points most of the year, finished around there. And people are like, oh, wow, he actually did something for the first time ever. And people just sort of oh, yeah, whatever. And then the next year he came around, and if it wasn't for a messed up pit stop, he might be right up there with Kevin Harvick and Ryan Newman for that championship. So I would say look for Suarez to be like how he was his rookie year. I think he's going to start slow again. I think there's going to be a lot of talk about like what's wrong with Suarez, how is he not performing in this car. But I think he'll turn it on as the year goes on. I do think that in a way, even though he shouldn't be judged off of this year, I do think it's a make or break kind of year for him. Because if he performs as bad, or worse than he did with Gibbs, then there's going to be some serious talks amongst Tony Stewart, Gene Haas, and all of them about, like, do we really want to stick with this guy, or is he just here for sponsorship? So
playoffs or bust. That's simple.
Yes.
I'm just saying they can only keep Cole Custer in Xfinity for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good point. I felt like Cole Custer should have been moved up this year. So, I mean, Cole Custer, he's like sitting there. He's like, hey, I'm waiting in the wings. So, sorry, it's just messed up for me.
I think if because I really thought Custer was going to win the championship last year. If
that was his crew chief.
If Custer can win a championship, I think at that point, if Stewart Haas doesn't have a way for him to get up in the Cup, he may actually have to go look elsewhere.
Yeah,
I think it sounds like we're all at least more optimistic for Suarez this year than we typically have.
Yeah.
I think going to Stewart Haas Racing, Kevin Harvick was a good driver, went to Stewart Haas, now he's a Hall of Famer. Clint Bowyer's career was dead, goes to Stewart Haas, wins a couple races. Eric Almirola's career was dead, goes to Stewart Haas, wins races. Stewart Haas Racing has a good track record lately of turning drivers' careers around. Kurt Busch, too. I could throw his name in there. He was dead in the water until he managed to find a spot over at Stewart Haas. So they have a history of turning drivers' careers around. I think Suarez, again, I'm going to stand by. I think he wins a race, ends up around 10th to 12th in points, maybe 14th, something like that. That's where I think he ends up. So,
yeah. One move that I actually think it'll be parallel at best, but probably a downgrade, is Ryan Newman moving to that 6 team. Again, I think Newman is a better driver than Trevor Bayne. I think he's around the same level as Ricky Stenhouse. But I think that's also another one where you're going to look and it's like, well, if he performs better than Bayne did, which I don't think for someone of Newman's caliber should be too hard. But if he performs better than Bayne did and around Stenhouse, then, okay, he's got some, he's probably got something left in the tank. And maybe RCR was the problem. But at the same time, like, if he performs this year worse than Bayne did, then I honestly think with Ryan Newman, you could be looking at another like Bobby Labonte type driver who was really good, and then just as their career went on, just kept getting worse and worse and worse rides.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about that?
This move came 15 years too late. Imagine if this was like 03, 04. Newman's driving for Roush. Oh my gosh! But now it's like,
or even like 08, 09.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, like Newman gets a lot of disrespect from the younger fans and stuff because they didn't see him win all of these races in like the early 2000s and stuff like that. But I mean, nowadays Newman sort of runs where his equipment allows him, and I feel like that 6 definitely needs some. It still needs a ton of stability and stuff. They had it with Kenseth. That's why they brought Kenseth in to replace Trevor Bayne in some races, and you saw what happened too. So I don't know. I'm not really sure if I'm not really expecting much from the 6 this year though. Like I mean, even if they don't make the playoffs, I still think it's definitely a huge a huge improvement from Trevor Bayne for sure.
Like last year, that car, when Trevor Bayne was in that car, they ran 25th. When Matt Kenseth was in that car, they ran 17th. I think Ryan Newman's going to run somewhere in between. I think he's going to run 20th, right around where Stenhouse is. I think that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
I don't think Ryan Newman, like Matt Kenseth in that car, you saw improvement. I mean, they finished top 10 the last 2 races of the year in that 6 car. You saw improvement with Kenseth. I don't think you're going to continue to see that with Ryan Newman. I don't think he's going to take you anywhere Kenseth didn't. But I don't think I do like that Jack Roush is investing in personnel. Like, he's not just saying, all right, we'll put Ty Majeski in this car and just cut our losses or whatever. Like, no, it shows that Jack Roush still is trying to make a difference. Because who else is he going to put in that car? Kurt Busch. If you got Chip Ganassi an offer on the table, he's not going to go to that.
You could have maybe persuaded Cole Custer to maybe go over there. But I mean, that's a long shot though. That's a long shot though. Yeah, that's a long shot.
At this point, Ryan Newman's a better driver than Cole Custer, and right, at least. So at the end of the day, Ryan Newman's the best available driver that would drive your car, because that 6 car's crap. I mean, Matt Kenseth straight up turned it down in the offseason, said, "Nope, I'm not coming back to drive full time." So you couldn't get Kenseth, so your next best option was Newman. So.
He is going to be very hard to miss, though, in the big Wienermobile.
Oh, that car looks – I like that car. I don't know what you guys think about the Wiener car.
So, really quick, I saw this in the chat. Someone said to go to Bobby Allison's Wikipedia page and look in recent years, and I don't know who put it. Maybe if someone just put it tonight or something, but it says in 2018, Allison made an appearance on the YouTube series NASCAR Weekly Podcast over the phone. The podcast appears with the likes of YouTubers Eric Estepp, Black Flags Matter, Darian Gilliam, DannyBTalks, Daniel Baldwin, and the Iceberg, Jarrett Lundberg. So, whichever one of you guys put that, thank you.
Shout out to y'all, man.
That's awesome, man. And thank you for making it appropriate.
Yeah.
We adding information.
Yeah, you guys. You don't know how much we actually appreciate that.
Yeah, like you guys actually changed someone's Wikipedia, and it was actually like informative and appropriate. Like, wow.
So thank you. So Fueled by Doritos is the one who said it in the chat. So thank you guys for that. That's really awesome.
Very nice. Another thing, going back to Ryan Newman, people forget about how what all has he really done in his career. He's a Daytona 500 champion. He's won the Brickyard 400. The guy is 9th all time in pole awards. He's had 51 pole awards.
51.
The
Rocket Man.
It's impressive.
Yeah. He's impressive. Yeah, well, he's good.
So here, one that I think, and I don't think it's a downgrade because of how they performed last year, the team at least, but a downgrade just based off of the fact that it seems like Gibbs doesn't, there's always an odd man out there. I don't think there's been a year I've ever watched that there hasn't been an odd man out at Gibbs. And maybe this year it might be Hamlin or Eric Jones, but I do think that Truex will do well. He's proven he's a good talent, but I don't think Truex is going to be, if there's a big 3 this year, I don't think Truex is in it.
He'll do good, but not as good as a lot of y'all are thinking, because they're thinking, oh man, he's going to Gibbs and stuff. He's going to make the Final Four again. No, I don't see that happening at all, especially with the 19 team. Yes, most of those guys are coming from the 78, but they still have a lot, they still have a lot of things to work out over there and stuff like that. And I don't know. I think he'll get a win though. I feel like he'll get maybe 2 or 3 wins and stuff, but I don't think he's gonna do as good as you guys have hyped him up to be.
Keep this in mind. When it was just a 78, and even when the 78 and 77, they only had one car that they had to worry about making sure it was fast.
That's priority. Yeah, it's priority.
Yeah, that's priority. Now, let's be honest. Who's the golden boy at Joe?
It's Kyle Busch. It's Kyle Busch.
He wins the most. He sells the most merchandise. Believe it or not, the M&M's car is very marketable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's obviously Kyle Busch is the one that it's going to be getting. And you don't like to say this in this kind of sport, but it's like there's always a car who gets the best stuff. Like for a long time with Hendrick, it was Johnson getting the best stuff, even though fans may have wanted maybe lean more direction of the 88, and then now it's the 9 car. It's getting the best opportunities at that team now. I think it's always really been like that.
Yeah, and I think that's why so many people, and you even see it with SHR, but I think that's why so many people are impressed with how well all 4 of their teams have done, is because. Mm-hmm. Even though you can tell that Harvick is probably getting a little bit better stuff, I think it's more because of the personnel with him. I mean, Rodney Childers, I think, has proven him and Kevin Harvick together. That's just gold right there. I mean, since 2014, they've been the fastest car out there. But I think that's why they are so much of an enigma compared to the rest of the sport, is because Hendrick, there's always an odd man out. Penske, usually an odd one out. Roush, there's always somebody. They're all out now. I just think of them as a legacy pick. But I agree.
I do want to say one thing, touching up on SHR. We were talking about people that we were looking out for. breakout year for Eric Almirola, I'm thinking.
He reminds me of Logano.
I'm thinking that he is going to win 3 races this year.
He reminds me of Logano 2013 going into 14, and we've seen how that's ended out. So good. I think that'd be good for all you Eric Almirola fans out there.
Yeah, Eric Almirola is gonna have an exciting year. Going back to Truex though, I don't think there's gonna be a big 3, but I don't want to say Truex is gonna run worse this year. I think he's still gonna win a few races. I think he'll be a championship contender, might even get it. I think the aero package is going to play away from his strengths. His strengths the last couple of years have been the bigger, faster tracks. He's still never wanted a short track before. NBC likes to remind you that every 13 seconds. And unfortunately, short tracks are really going to be the most driver-intensive tracks this year. I don't feel like Truex is really going to get to show his skill as much at the intermediates as we're used to seeing. So as a result of the field being more bunched up, I think that takes away one of his advantages. So I think he won 4 races last year. I think that's the most he gets this year. I expect 3. I think 3 is a good number. But I also don't think anyone's going to win more than probably six races this year. I think it's the most we're going to see from anyone.
I think that's right too. There seems to be, in a lot of years, when you see somebody win a ton of races like that, there's not many years that follow up where somebody wins again a ton of races like that. And usually it isn't the same people. Now, Jimmy Johnson in the end of the mid-2000s, he's just on another level. Like, I think we can all agree there. We knew that every year he was going to win between 6 to 10 races every year. But if you look at, 2004, Johnson won 8 races. I think Junior won 6. I think Gordon I think won 4 or 5 that year. But there were a lot of guys that were winning a lot of races. Then the next year, I think Johnson was the only one up there, and he got 3 or 4, and Stewart got 5. So I could see that because it's like that ebb and flow and the changes. So yeah, I think this year might be, when it comes to winners, a lot more diverse on who wins, especially at the start of the year, I think.
Well, yeah, this package is designed to help the mid-pack guys, especially the smaller guys and stuff like, Bubba and let's say a Corey LaJoie at some tracks and stuff. So honestly, I could see us having maybe by the time the playoffs start, 14, 15 different winners, maybe. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here with this new package and stuff. Maybe. I don't know.
The last time we had 16 winners in the regular season, first 26 races, was 2003, I believe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while and stuff, but I don't know. I'm just spitballing. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be exactly that, but I think it's going to be there's going to be way more. It's going to be way more diverse than usual.
I don't think any of us know for sure.
No. Yeah, I mean, nobody knows anything right now. That's the thing. We don't know if this package is going to be good or bad. We don't know,
It's like a mystery.
Yeah.
Hey, how do we think the 95 car is going to do with their new kind of alliance?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for them. I don't know. I don't think this is going to be the year that they burst onto the scene. But next 2020, this could be the kind of the building year. Before Martin Truex Jr. and Furniture Row Racing got really super good, they were competitive. They won a race in 2011 with Regan Smith. They were in the ballpark. So I don't know. I'm excited. They're switching to Toyota. They're aligned with Gibbs the same way Furniture Row was, but I don't think that means we should get ahead of ourselves here. They're not going to be as good as the 78 right off the bat.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see Matt DiBenedetto. Every time Matt DiBenedetto's brought up, fans are quick to say, "Oh, he's underrated. He's really underrated." I don't know about that. I think he is. I think he's a good driver. I don't think he's a championship driver, but I think he's a solid driver. But I don't know that. The fans have been telling me he's great. But last year, I think out of all the full-time racers last year, I think he was the lowest in points at the end of the season. I think there were 30 drivers that started every race, or maybe it was 29. I think it was 29 drivers that started every race last year. He was 29th. So I don't know if I know he's in bad equipment last year. I don't know. People in the chat saying he's going to make the playoffs. I'd love it. I would love it. But I don't know. I don't see it.
I'll be very interested to see how he fares in the April race at Bristol.
I just want to point this out too. Just because they're getting, Joe Gibbs equipment, that doesn't mean that they're automatically going to do good. You have to have the right people and the right personnel to, take that Gibbs equiment and, do something with it. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure if they're going to be terrific, some of you guys are expecting right off the bat and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't make the playoffs in year one. I mean, it's kind of a learning year and stuff. You know, new manufacturer, new crew chief, new a ton of new personnel over there at Leavine Family Racing. So I'm not sure yet. I'm not even convinced that he'll even make the playoffs this year, though. Yeah. Not fully, though. I mean,
it's a team. 95 last year was a 30th place team with a good driver in Casey Kane. They're gonna have to like literally vault over like 15 drivers to get into the top 16. I'm optimistic because they added Mike Wheeler from Joe Gibbs Racing, a veteran crew chief who's won before. Hasn't won in like a year and a half, but has won before. So, you know, there's reason to be optimistic. I don't think this is the year, though. I think you're right. I don't think they make the playoffs this year, but they could contend. They could lead laps.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but I mean, just to point out, when the 78 switched over to the whole Joe Gibbs alliance after 2015, they were coming off of a Final Four appearance with their alliance with Richard Childress and stuff like that. And now the 95 is coming off of, I think they finished 30th, you just mentioned, in the owner's points. Roughly. So, I mean, yeah, roughly 30th, you know. I mean, I'm not sure yet, you know, like, you know, but he's definitely a feel-good story, though. I'll say that, but I don't know. It's like he's not really a championship driver to me, anyways. I think the potential he can reach is maybe being a good, solid driver for a team and stuff. Like, yeah, he'll make the playoffs every now and then and stuff, but I don't know. It's like some of you guys have said, oh, he's very underrated. Just get him in, like, you know, good equipment and stuff. And I've even said that myself, but the entire time I've never said he's been a championship driver and stuff. He'll be eventually a championship driver. No way.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's kind of hard with him because part of, I think, what fans say is underrated as people want him to be underrated. He's a very likable personality. He's somebody that, you know, after he finished, I think, 6th in 2016 at Bristol, you know, everyone saw how he was, you know, nearly in tears. He took this car all the way up to the top 10. And I think at that point, everyone just fell in love with Matt DiBenedetto. Now, the thing that I don't want people to get too invested with it is, like, I do think he's a little underrated. I do. I think that as a young driver doing, you know, I think he was probably put into the fire a little too early with Gibbs. I think that was a mistake they made on more than one level. You know, it wasn't just Logano they made that mistake with. I think he's a more mature and smarter driver now. I wouldn't be surprised if they did better than the 95 did last year. I wouldn't be surprised if they were even a top 25, close to top 20 team. Because I think the problem last year is Kasey Kahne. I don't think the last few years of his career, Kasey Kahne was not exactly as good a driver as he used to be. You know, he was falling off at Hendrick and then at Leavine Family Racing. I mean, the only notable thing is that through 14 races of the season, I'm pretty sure he led more laps than Jimmy Johnson.
I think he led as many laps as Jimmy Johnson during that season.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But so yeah, I'd say 23rd to 25th. I think that's where he would be at. I do think he's underrated, but I don't think he's underrated to the point of like Alex Bowman level underrated or like 2012 Joey Logano underrated. I don't think he's anywhere near that, but I would love to be pleasantly surprised because I really do like DiBenedetto and I really hope the best for him.
And for that team, that'd be just cool for that team, you know, to have some success because it'd be another success story in NASCAR. We hear about all these teams failing, or you know, mostly Xfinity Series teams that are going away. But if you can get not just a relatively, you know, if you can get a new Cup Series team into like the limelight, that'd be great. That'd be cool.
So another driver I want to talk about too is this might be the final year of his Cup Series career, Kurt Busch. From what I was told last week, basically Kurt Busch, unless he's running for like for a championship, 2019 is probably going to be his final year and stuff. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's his final year. I think now I know the DC Solar issue in the Xfinity Series maybe throws a wrench in this deal, but my initial speculation, my initial hypothesis was that since Kurt Busch signed a one-year deal, he's near the end of his career. I think he drives the one car for 2019, but I think 2020, Ross Chastain makes the jump into that car for the future. with the DC Solar thing, who knows if that's still, I don't know, maybe that'll throw a wrench into situations. But yeah, I agree. I think Kurt Busch is probably done after this year. He doesn't bring a lot of sponsorship to that team. He brings Monster Energy, but they don't sponsor the full schedule for him. So it's not like he's carrying that team with sponsorship. So I think they're looking for somebody to replace him.
And personally, I don't see Monster Energy staying with. I don't see them staying with him because I actually see them going over to Kyle. Because if no one was aware of this, Monster is now back with Kyle Busch in a way.
That's a nice scheme. That's a nice scheme too. That's pretty nice,
right?
Yeah, that's a nice scheme. But I like personally, I think Kurt Busch, the only reason he is doing this 1-year deal and stuff, maybe he just wanted to retire after the 2018 season, but I don't know. I get the feeling he wants to run Indy again, in the future and stuff too, or maybe he wants to do some select IndyCar races in the future and stuff too. Because if you don't remember, Kurt Busch is really good in his Indianapolis 500 appearance and stuff. He was running in the top 5 top 5. He finished 6. I think he finished 6. Yeah, he finished 6 and stuff too. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to work something out to where maybe in the future he wants to run maybe some select races in IndyCar and stuff. I don't know, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know if it's I don't know if Kurt Busch is necessarily wanting to retire after 2019. I think he's at a point in his career similar to what we've seen with Casey Kane, with Matt Kenseth, with Greg Biffle, where they get to an age where they're like, best years are behind me. If the perfect deal doesn't materialize, all right, I'll go do something else. That's kind of what those guys have done. I think that's what Kurt Busch will do well. IndyCar on the horizon could be something that he does one-offs here and there. I just don't think Chip Ganassi Racing is going to be desperate to re-sign after 2019, unless he shows up this year and wins 3 races all of a sudden and just turns that team into a future contender. Then maybe guys are gonna be like, "Hey, stay with us, Kurt." Okay. I don't see that happening, so I just think he's gone. I think
personally, I see him being more so trying to elevate that team, the one team, and also trying to elevate the 42 of Kyle Larson to possibly a championship caliber team. I mean, he is a championship driver though, so he is a veteran. he hasn't been a championship contender for quite a bit, but he's still pretty good. He's still a very good driver and stuff. And I don't know, maybe he might help that team take him to the next level possibly. So we'll see.
I was actually really surprised that he came back, especially for a 1-year deal. I don't know if many people really remember back because of all the other different fun memes and stuff we've had last year, but one of the things I think I had said until the last few weeks of the year was that I thought that last year was Kurt Busch's final year. I thought it was his final year, and I thought it was Johnson's. Now I was proven wrong on both counts, and I'm happy about that because I do like both of those drivers. But I do think this is his last year. I think he signed a one-off deal, one last shot with a team that he probably feels to be sufficient enough to get him at least a good enough shot at a championship. I think he sees what Kyle Larson in a down year even still looks good. So I honestly don't think he's going to do well. I think that, making the playoffs probably. But when I say do well, I mean comparing him to last year's Kurt Busch. It's hard to say if he wins or not. If he does win at all this year, it'll be probably 1. I don't think he's going to go off and rattle 7 or 8 wins this year. But yeah, I don't know. That's another one where it's a mystery. That's the thing with this offseason. It's so many things going in.
So many different places. Everyone's moving left and right. Different crew chief changes, team changes, all that stuff. So we don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Other than compared to recent years.
But it is exciting though. I hope the best for him, but I'm not expecting him to be over the moon and back.
Yeah, same. Another one that, I remember this got a lot of hate and stuff. Now this is one of the smaller teams, and with, I guess more or less, and a very unpopular driver, depending on who you are, Matt Tifft, to the 36 for front row and stuff. I remember a lot of people were really pissed off about that move and stuff, but I don't know. Not really expecting much. Probably will be a mid to rear to rear end contender. So yeah, not really expecting that much stuff.
I have no some people are oh, Matt Tifft, what's he done to deserve a cup ride? Yeah, I have no problem with this move. because he's not going to contend for wins or even top tens with Front Row Motorsports. Matt Tifft is an average Xfinity Series driver. At best, they're bumping him up to what, a below average Cup Series team? Like, that makes sense. I mean, he's probably, unless he does something impressive,
He's also brought funding too, so that's
yeah,
another
he's
good
brought
point.
funding, but it's also like he's not taking this ride really from anyone else. Like, what? Like, did Ross Chastain want this ride? No, he didn't. Does Johnny Sauter want this ride? No, I don't think so. Like, who's he taking this ride from? This car didn't even exist last year.
Yeah, that was the whole point.
Racing, right? Wasn't this a charter they got from BK Racing, or even assets they might have got? I don't know where they got.
It was.
So I don't have a big problem with it. He's young. Let him race for a few years in a lousy team, make his money. Like, you can't hate the guy. Just let him make his money. He'll be getting some Cup Series experience, and then I don't know. He's like a David Reagan. I don't think he's ever really going to be a great driver. He's an okay. He'd be a good Xfinity driver, maybe. And that's what he's
peak around that playoff line, 16, 17 would probably be about his peak, you'd say. Like, if it were a David
16,
Reagan style.
17?
No, I'm saying
no.
if put in the right position. Not saying like he's going to. I'm just saying like
if
he's
like
put
with
in
the top team.
Yes. Yeah.
No, yeah, I'd say that. Like, even if he was, he was with the top team in Xfinity and with Joe Gibbs a couple of years back and stuff, and couldn't get a win there and stuff too. So I don't know. It's like I'm not really expecting much, but it's like why be pissed off? I mean, he didn't take anyone's ride and stuff like that either. So it's like, who cares?
Yeah, I'm good for him, and if he manages to take that team higher than it's been in the past, then I'll be happy for him. And I think that he'll prove a lot of people wrong. That's the thing. For a majority of these drivers, if they're not going to do well or we're not expecting them to, I hope they prove us wrong. I do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I would love out of nowhere, another Kyle Larson comes out of the woodworks. I would love that. But it's just realistically looking at it, though.
Right.
Yeah. I know we're kind of running out of silly season stuff to talk about, but one thing I thought might be fun just for us to discuss. We haven't talked about, other than Tifft here, we haven't talked about the rookies so much. Which rookie? I think the 3 rookie contenders next year are Ryan Preece with JTG, Daniel Hemrick with RCR, and I guess Matt Tifft over at Front Row Motorsports. Which rookie?
You forgot one. Who did I forget? Tanner Berryhill. Yep, with
Tanner Berryhill.
Yeah, with Bika Racing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
All
We got brothers owning NASCAR teams.
Is Bika going to show up for more than one race?
They're running the whole season with no charter, so I gotta give it to them. They're gonna attempt every race
Well,
with no
they're
charter.
saying they
Are they?
They are. Yeah.
I remember there was, I think in 2010, a team called All American Racing, fan-funded, going to run the entire season, and all I heard of them was from Athlon magazine. You never heard of them again.
No, I never heard of them until you just mentioned them and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're planning on running the whole season with no charter and stuff. But Tanner Berryhill's he's a rookie, so mention it.
Chad seems to think Daniel Hemrick's their rookie of the year pick. What do you guys say? I'll be honest. I'm going with Ryan Preece. I think
Ryan Preece is good, but it's just we've only really seen him really run into Joe Gibbs stuff. So I'm really leaning towards Hemrick.
But that team, the 47, is getting backing from Hendrick with Hendrick engines. So.
That's what I was thinking. I think that 47 will be slightly better than last year, and I just think that the 31, which is now the 8 last season, was its worst year ever. Like, you had Ryan Newman running 25. He finished like outside the top 20 in points, I think.
And also, you had some chemistry issues towards the end of the season with Newman and Lambert and stuff. So yeah, you had.
I don't know.
That team started off really strong last year because they led a lot at the beginning of Atlanta last year, actually.
Maybe based off emojis, maybe Alex Bowman will be a rookie again. Who knows? I'm going to take the safe pick here and go with Hemrick. I want to say Preece. I do, but JTG has been just so off. And even with Hendrick backing, I mean, there's only been one good Hendrick car in the last year and a half, and it's been Chase Elliott. And it just seems like while the 31 had its worst year, the 31's worst year is better than the 47's higher end years at this point. And I think Allmendinger, like, he's a good driver, but he wasn't fitting the Cup, so I do think they'll be better this year. But I do think also that the newly numbered 8 with Hemrick, I think that team will be about as good, maybe a smidge better, maybe like 1 or 2 spots.
Here's the thing. I think RCR and JTG, I think the 8 car for RCR and the 47 for JTG are similar. I think maybe the 8 is slightly better, but I'm gonna put my eggs in Ryan Preece's basket here, if that makes sense. I mean, Ryan Preece, what's he run, like maybe 20, 30 Xfinity races? He's got what, 1 or 2 wins? Daniel Hemrick's never won a race in the Xfinity.
Well, the thing with that is, this is why I'm going with Hemrick and stuff. Hemrick is extremely consistent. Like, yeah, he hasn't won a race and stuff, but I mean, he runs up front almost every race. And also, Preece, he's never ran a full season yet, though. So I don't know how he'll do. Well, I don't know, but like, I don't know how he'll do, like, you know, for an entire season and stuff too. And like Hemrick, and Hendrick, like, they're not as good as they used to be. Yeah, they have the backing and stuff too. Like, yeah, I think they'll improve some, but I'm not really like expecting all that much. At least not right now.
We talked about, you know, how Hendrick, you know, they have the guy who's getting the best stuff, guy who's getting the less stuff, but what are they giving to this? What are they giving to other teams? I mean, like, they can't afford to give William Byron a low running car and then, oh, hey, Ryan Preece, go get a top 5.
I mean, but again, maybe with this new package and stuff, like, again, we don't know what to expect. I really don't know. This is probably going to be the most craziest NASCAR season in recent memory. But I don't know. Maybe he might surprise us, and maybe he might point his way into the playoffs. I highly doubt it, though. But I think Hemrick has a better shot at making the playoffs and winning Rookie of the Year than Preece does.
Yeah, I don't see either driver making the playoffs, but I just look, Ryan Preece last 2 years, I went ahead and pulled up his stats. Last 2 years driving part-time for Gibbs, he has 2 wins in 19 races. Daniel Hemrick's run 2 years in a row in top Xfinity equipment and has 0 wins. I know it's just wins, and I know you can dive deeper, but I don't know. I just think I'm not a big Preece guy. I think he's overrated, to be honest. People act like he's as good as Ross Chastain, or he's like, if he's like gonna blossom in the best equipment. I don't know if I go that far. I think if you put him in the 18 car, it's a 10th place car. You know, that's what I think. Cup Series I'm talking about. So, but he's good, and I don't necessarily. I also think Daniel Hemrick might be slightly overhyped. I don't know if this is. I think this is 2 years in a row where the rookie class isn't super strong.
well, I can tell you this right now. It's better than Kevin Conway, Andy Lally, like Sam Hornish. I can guarantee you it's way better than that.
Yeah, and that's not debatable, but yeah.
Yeah, really quick, another thing I saw, Starcom now has a charter and has ECR power. So, think that'll do anything to them?
No, they're gonna run 34th. But hey, you know, at least they're gonna. Hey, but you know, give them props and stuff. They're gonna they have a charter and stuff. They're gonna race every race and stuff. So that's pretty cool for a small team. So shout out to Derek Cope, man.
Are they gonna have 1 car or 2 cars?
I think it's just one.
Yeah,
like
one.
I think they made a huge mistake adding the second one and stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, look, just you know, develop the first car and stuff, and then maybe if you're good enough in the future, add the second one. But I guess one thing's for sure, Derek Cope, I don't think he doesn't need to be racing in the Cup Series at all anymore. So I guess, you know, with no second car, we probably won't ever see that again. So.
Maybe a few.
Landon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, everyone's a big fan of Landon, so
he's a nice guy.
He'll do well. Yeah.
And then Darlington announced the theme of the throwback, like it actually mattered. It's 90s this year for the people who actually want to follow the rules.
So it's the 90s. It's based on the 90s. So pretty much everyone's gonna run schemes from the early 2000s. That's basically what happens. Like, no one follows the rules.
It is. It's like, does it matter what the theme is? Maybe NASCAR should start finding people maybe for not running the paint schemes. I guess it's like, oh, you don't want to follow the rules? Here's a $10,000 fine.
As long as Busch Beans doesn't bring out a 200-year-old logo,
yeah,
I'll be happy.
This was the paint scheme we used to have on our horse and buggy. We call it Pine.
So Bo Wallace, he was hoping maybe to do like a Kyle Petty throw, but no, we're doing an old STP car.
Yep.
Wait, don't we already do an old STP car?
Every
No.
No, I want Bubba to do an Adam Petty one to like his 98 car or his 99 Busch car. That'd be pretty cool.
I would like that.
Yeah.
I want to see Bubba run the rainbow paint scheme from Jeff Gordon's I want to see an iconic paint scheme on a different iconic number. I want to see William Byron on a Dale Sr. throwback. I just want
Hey.
all the mismatch. Can we just do that for me, please?
Yeah. Let's do that. Hey, really quick, I forgot. We forgot one change.
Uh-oh.
Remember? Mike Wallace. He's coming back to NASCAR. He's gonna drive the 52.
Oh, yeah.
Yay! You know, he's gonna compete in 3 races so far: Atlanta, Vegas, and Fontana. So, hey, Mike Wallace is back in NASCAR, I guess. Oh, and also the one guy for us. What's the team? Spire Motorsports or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's his name again? The Huff guy. I forgot his name.
I have no idea.
Quinn Huff, is that his name?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I didn't know who he was before, and still don't really know. So, yeah.
Another one really quick. NASCAR is banning gambling with teams, owners, and officials at the track because common sense.
We don't want the pros of NASCAR to show up, you know.
I mean,
Baseball.
why would you even need to announce that? That's probably just something like I feel like that got leaked where NASCAR just basically was like, yes, we know this is something that we shouldn't have to tell you, but we will anyway because one of you morons will do it.
I mean,
don't bet on yourselves.
I mean, you just had a team blatantly break the rules and practice on a track when they weren't supposed to, you know. So sometimes it's got to be brutally honest with your rules.
Well, you know what's interesting is that the NFL, there were these players back in the day and stuff. You can actually you can get banned for gambling on your the team you play for. Yeah.
Yep. So
what's his name? What's his name? Art Schlichter. He was like this bust of a quarterback in the 80s. He had this like big gambling problem and stuff, and he was like betting like sums of money, as much as like 600,000 on himself and his team and stuff, and and he got banned.
Must have been a White Sox fan.
Wasn't there some NBA refs who got in trouble for banning and then fixing the game?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So I mean, and even then, worse than NASCAR, you'd have to worry about even hey, what if a crew member like betted on a different team and then
or a driver betting on like another driver and stuff, and it's like the last lap is like, maybe you shouldn't win this race because I can get $100 and stuff, and he just takes them out.
I think it'd be a little more than 100.
I mean, yeah. What if you're at the Daytona 500 and you're like, hey, I'm betting on Bowman and just gonna draft him the whole time. Like, I'm gonna make sure you win.
Yeah, something like that.
Darren,
These are extreme scenarios, but
Darren, I think any of us, you for sure would know the value of $100 compared to anything else with super chats there. Holy. Yeah, that made me just.
Wait, what's the face again? Like that.
I'm sure Keplinger probably has it saved still.
Somewhere.
I think everyone has it saved at this point. Really quick, before we wrap up tonight, so a little Daytona 500 news came out. So they have a pace truck driver.
Ooh.
Dale Jr.
Ooh.
Oh, wasn't he the driver? Or wait, no, he didn't. He was the Grand Marshal. Or
Yeah. So, well, he already said he's like, I want to be back next year. So it's like, what are you gonna tell Dale Jr.? No.
If Junior wants it, he gets it, no matter what he wants.
Wait, so they got Dale Jr. that NASCAR commentator? Oh my gosh!
What
is he? I didn't know he would drive on a track.
Yeah, I didn't know he drove. Like, I didn't know he still drove. What?
But on top of that, they also got the pre-race concert set up. It's Jake Owens. So.
Who?
Jake Owen? Is he related to Owen Wilson? I don't know.
I think.
Is he? Wait, hold up. Isn't he that country singer, something like that?
He's got to be a country singer. I mean, they don't get anybody else.
Hey, let's be completely honest. Anybody at this point is better than if they brought 50 Cent back.
Yikes.
He's not even relevant in the rap game anymore. He's like an actor. Like, why would they have?
Well, just ask Aaron Andrews.
Oh God. Well,
yeah.
But yeah, for you country fans, what's his name again? Jake Owen, y'all.
Yeah, he seems pretty famous. I don't know anything about him, but he seems famous. That's good.
Is there an Owen? Jacquet Owen? Okay, where you at?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Is there anything else we haven't covered, or is that about cover it?
Oh, yeah, there is. Ryan Truex.
What about Ryan Truex?
He's going to the 71 of Tommy Baldwin for a race.
For the Daytona 500, right?
Yeah, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I can think of.
Jeffrey Earnhardt's with Gibbs, but we talked about that last year.
Oh, and Riley Herbst. I know some of you guys in the chat hate his guts. He's going to be driving in. Driving in 9 Xfinity races in the 18. So, I don't know. Like, some of you guys have said like, oh, he's not that good in trucks and stuff, you know. So we'll see what happens in Xfinity, I guess, with literally the best team in all the Xfinity series. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, and we gotta watch out for Jeffrey Earnhardt still.
Yeah, there were some rumors he was like gonna ride part-time and for Joe Gibbs, but like that thing was photoshopped. But then there was like some other pictures on a Snapchat that like came out of him like doing photo shoots with the Monster Energy logo and stuff. I think he's driving for the same team he drove for last year part-time, that 96 K9 team or whatever. I don't think that's Joe Gibbs in the Cup Series. I don't think.
No, but he'll be with Gibbs in the Xfinity Series though part-time, which could be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he can like run competitively and stuff, that'll be really good for the sport. Just for the fact that and Earnhardt's out there and stuff like that, you know, running good. So.
And I do have one thing I want to say, and some of you all knew about this, some of you may not have known about this. During the off season, I actually did launch a little bit of a campaign that didn't really go according to plan. If you didn't know, there is an ongoing battle to not let T-Series become the #1 most subscribed channel on YouTube. It was my idea to try to do a campaign where we could actually afford to make a $200,000 donation to the NASCAR Foundation, as well as maybe sponsoring like a truck driver or a lower driver in the Cup Series. And I've got some teams who are very interested. I was approached by Premium Motorsports. They really wanted to work with this kind of thing, but money has not been raised. We've only raised like a little over $100, so most likely this won't happen. If you give anything, though, at the end of the year, whatever is raised for it, it's all going to the NASCAR Foundation no matter what. So if you feel like giving to it, go ahead.
Yeah, let's make it happen, guys. And that's on your which video was it? Like you did a whole video on that.
Yeah, there was a video. It was a sponsor. I subscribed to PewDiePie Car and NASCAR. I think was the title of it. So it's on my channel. Check it out. And if you can give anything, all I'm saying is if we had somehow get the video to go out there, if we had 60,000 people who donated $5, we can make this project work out. So yeah, that's all I'm saying.
So we got 230 people watching. So 5 times 230.
I'll do it quick for you.
What is that? I don't know that off the bat.
That'd be $1,150.
So we could make $1,000 off of this stream alone. So let's make it happen.
Whoa, hey, don't say it like that. We could donate that much.
I'm sorry. Yes, we could donate.
Or I could make $1,000 off this stream. Wink, wink.
Not really. Don't think that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I'm not going off of that. But yeah.
So I guess another thing, it's not in the Cup Series. Moffitt's in the 24. Sauter's out of the 21. Austin Hill's in the 16. Blake Cook is in the he's in the 4 now. Ross Chastain is homeless. The 60 car is done. So and also Ryan Reed isn't in the Xfinity Series anymore because that team shut down.
Homeless.
Yeah. He's homeless in that series, that's for sure.
He's Xfinity homeless.
Yeah. All right, hold on. I got more. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Jeffrey Earnhardt's driving part-time in the 18. The defending champion Tyler Reddick's moving from the 9 to the 2.
You know what?
For RCR.
Want to do iconic cars switching up and really ruffle people's feathers. I know people always make these edits on Twitter and Amino and Reddit and everything. Have Jeffrey Earnhardt do the throwback race at Darlington in the Xfinity Series with the Dale Earnhardt scheme.
Oh no, the fans, especially the older fans, they're gonna get all pissed.
They hate saying because of they hate.
It's a Toyota. It's a Toyota. Oh my God, it's a Toyota.
Nah, but
why would you do that?
Oh yeah. But by the way, come buy your new Toyota from Daniel Baldwin, Danny B at Beeman Toyota in Nashville.
I'll have my dad right there for you.
You're fired. You're fired.
Yeah, but I don't know about you guys, but I'd say that about covers a lot of the off-season stuff. We can start doing more prediction-based videos and things like that next week. Who do we have on next week?
We
guys
got,
know that,
we got
right?
us,
Right?
We got us
All
a
right.
show. We got
two guests. Two guests.
Who
Okay.
do we have on next week? I know one of the guests.
Oh, can I say it? Can I say it? Or no, it's your channel. You say it.
Okay, I was about to say, I'm
Go
like,
ahead.
jeez. All
Go
right.
ahead.
So we have Dale Reynolds coming on. You know him from the Core Racing League and on YouTube.
The best
And-
core driver in the league.
He
by the
takes us
way.
to school every time.
Yeah.
And we also will have Brandon McReynolds on next week. So should be a really fun show. Got a lot of predictions and stuff that we need to get through, and interesting guests. So we'll have our first guest next week. We just wanted to get back in the groove this week. So we didn't want to get out of the groove.
Yeah. Thanks.
So we should get there.
Do I have to super chat now?
Yeah.
Yes. No, kidding. No, but
Yeah,
I'd say
Larry
that's
Mack's
about
son. Yes, chat. Larry Mack's son. Yes.
Yes.
That McGrath.
You can tell us all about the trends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that on stream.
No, I
though.
won't.
He probably
I
gets
love
annoyed with that.
I
Being
love
his
Larry
son and
McReynolds.
all that.
Honestly,
For those who have not been seeing much of him, he is racing in the K&N series now.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
That'd be
and really quick, Jimmy 48 fan put out there going to be another amazing year of the podcast for a $2 super chat. Thanks, man.
Hell yeah.
We're looking forward to it, and well, we got a lot of good stuff planned up. But
And which channel will we be on next week?
I was thinking yours, unless you work.
Yep, gotta wait until I see that work schedule. It still has not come out, and I was actually sick today, so I called in. I'll be back in tomorrow. Hopefully we'll know something.
Okay, well,
And
if you're not, then how about just do it on yours, Eric? That way,
Sure.
just so we don't have two in a row.
down.
Yeah, sweet. All right, so yeah, we'll keep that updated in our community tabs and on Twitter and everything. We'll make sure. Hell, maybe we'll even put it in the comment of this video, comment section. So, thank you, Eric. $5 out of the groove.
The
All
stream
right.
is coming to a close, so go check out my recent uploads. There's my paid promotion.
On his shirt too. Didn't even have. If it's been promoted all podcast episode.
Oh shit, that was a total waste of money. Dang it. I gotta go spend my ad dollars more reasonably. I'm a terrible business person.
All right. Well, I'd say that we've had a pretty productive podcast, and well, I don't know about you guys, but I think that's about it. See everybody. Oh, another one, Joseph.
Oh my god.
$10 from Joseph. Screw you, Eric.
Joseph, I'm not paying for your ass at Dave and Buster's, so you might as well.
Save that cash.
Say that cash, right? Sorry, donated 20.
All right. Well, let's just. I'd say that'd be about it. So we'll see you guys next week on Danny's or Eric's, whichever one, and
We'll keep you
from there-
posted.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted. So
Most likely Danny's.
yes. So thank you guys for watching. This is the Iceberg speaking for myself, Eric Estepp, DannyBTalks, and Black Flags Matter. That we'll see you next week, and thanks for watching.